Hello, and welcome to Amara Woman Magazine TV. I'm your host, Wendy Brawley. We've got a great show on tap for you today. First, we'll get highlights from our Health Ministry Empowerment Tour and get a visit from Lillian Suarez with Select Health, our presenting sponsor. And it's the holiday season, and we've got information on a family that really does need your help. And we're going to talk about identity theft. With the recent things that have happened with our Department of Revenue, it's information that you will really be able to use. And we'll check in with the Amara Kitchen. So stay where you are. Amara Woman Magazine starts now. Welcome back. Well, this fall, as we've done for the past 10 years, we hit the road with our Health Ministry Empowerment Tour. And here today to give us some of the highlights and tell us a little bit about the company that helps make the tour possible is Lillian Suarez, the Director of Outreach for Community Outreach, is that right?
Yes.
At Select Health of South Carolina. Lillian, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, it's my pleasure being here, Wendy.
Well, first, let's talk a little bit about that tour. This was our 11th year on tour, and we were able to go to some very rural parts of South Carolina. And you all have done a whole lot to make this tour possible. And First Choice is such a big company. First of all, tell us a little bit about First Choice, and then we'll toss into the tour.
Okay. Well, First Choice is our health plan under Select Health, which is our company name. Our First Choice program offers benefits to members who qualify for Medicaid. It gives them all their regular benefits under Medicaid plus some additional benefits under our program. First Choice was the first and is the largest Medicaid managed care plan in the state. We serve over 200,000 members across all 46 counties in South Carolina.
Wow, well that makes it easier to understand then, because we've been doing this with First Choice for about a decade now. And I'd like to just let our viewers know that, it used to be a conference that there was a small fee for people to attend, but because you all stepped up in such a major way, the conference is now free, and we have seen about 7,000 women participate as a result over the decade. So thank you so much for that support. Now, we've partnered all this time, and we've taken this event to women all across the state. Why is this kind of outreach important to a company like Select Health and First Choice?
Yes, it is very important. Women is the second largest group that we serve under our First Choice plan. As women, sometimes we get so wrapped up in taking care of our loved ones and other family members that we often neglect ourselves.
Absolutely.
One of the wonderful things about the Health Ministry Empowerment Tours is that it not only gives a day in which women can enjoy just for themselves, nourishing their minds and their bodies and spirits, but it also brings valuable and vital information that can help empower women and in some cases even save their lives.
Absolutely. I know we once had at one of our tour stops a lady who didn't know that her blood pressure was dangerously high. She never really talked to her doctor about it and hadn't been to a physician. And she got her screening and had to leave our event that day and go straight to the hospital.
Yes.
That's how dangerously high. So it really is helping a lot of people. What is it? I know you've talked about what we do and why we do it, but how does that connect? Why the tour? Why this event? How does that connect with you all?
One thing is that if we look at the health conditions that are affecting our populations today, particularly women, such as diabetes and heart disease and high blood pressure, a lot of those conditions can be eliminated or controlled with education and prevention. And in order to do that, we have to reach into the communities where our folks are and into their own cultural environment. And the tours bring these tours and information education to areas that sometimes don't have the opportunity for such events with health education. such as the rural counties or the smaller
Yes.
counties within the state.
And it's interesting because we were in 3 rural counties, very rural parts of South Carolina this October with the tour. We started in Walterboro,
Okay.
down in the low country, and then went to Lake City and finished up in St. Matthews.
Yes.
And it's amazing to me every time we go, Lillian, to see the women waiting in the parking lot when
Yes.
we get there at 7:30 in the morning for us to open doors at 8. Is this new way of reaching women about their health, is that the wave of the future? Do you think that community health will evolve to those kind of hands-on type of opportunities?
Yes, I definitely think so. If you look at the tours, the way they are set up and work, it gives the opportunity for women to actively participate in the workshops, in the health screen, along with the opportunity to ask questions. That again gives them the opportunity and the empowerment to better health and sometimes quality of life.
And you know, you all were responsible through the AmeriHealth Mercy Foundation for bringing a young lady who was a stroke survivor in her 30s, 3 strokes and yet in her 30s. And her workshop was very, very, very well received because we are the stroke belt. Mm-hmm. And you're right, I think people want the information, they want to learn how to live better. We just have to find ways of reaching out to them. Now, let me ask you maybe a little bit of a biased question. Do you think that this event is the kind of event that really can make women see themselves differently and make that change?
I definitely do. I mean, even talking from a personal view, I love the event. I enjoyed it. I mean, you start off in the morning, you know, praising with the gospel singing, and they get you involved in that 5-minute Zumba exercise.
Yes.
And just from the start, you know, you start feeling good. It was wonderful to see so many beautiful women embracing each other and enjoying a day where we can just participate in all different types of workshops and an opportunity to bond as women.
Well, I can tell you, for us, it's really what Amara is all about. We are a lifestyle publication that touts empowerment. And, you know, you can't reach those goals, those purposes that you might have in your life without the health that sometimes we often just take for granted. So we thank you for allowing us to be a part of your mission and for supporting the event. Can you stick around for a few minutes? I'd like to talk a little bit more about First Choice and Select Health.
Sure, I can do that.
Well, stay with us. We'll be right back.
First Choice has my doctor.
Choose First Choice for your Medicaid health plan. Visit our website or call today.
Thanks for staying with us. Well, we have Lillian Suarez here from Select Health of South Carolina, and they are the presenting sponsors of the Health Ministry Empowerment Tour. We've had the pleasure not only to work with you on this event, but to work with you on several others. Tell us a little bit about some of the things you're doing out there.
Well, you know, Select Health, our main priority is to, you know, help bring cost-effective health care to the state of South Carolina without compromising on the quality of care and improving the health of our members. And we do that in various ways. You know, we have great departments in-house, but we also have outreach throughout the community. And this is why we partner with such wonderful organizations as Amara, so that we can bring out within our communities as much as we can and helping improve health education and wellness in general for our communities.
Well, what's on the horizon next for Select Health? What do you see?
Well, we are going to continue to do what we do best, which is to provide quality health care out there. We now have a First Choice Community Center located at 3315 Broad River Road in the White Square Plaza. In our community center, our members can go in there and get help navigating through our plan services and the healthcare systems, along with getting information, available resources and links within the community.
Wonderful. Well, Lillian, thank you all so much for all that you do. It's a pleasure these few years that I've known you, just working with you and your team, and we look forward to hopefully many more opportunities.
Well, thank you. I'm happy and glad and very honored that I was able to share this day and this information with you and your viewers.
Well, stay with us. We'll be right back.
First Choice has my doctor.
Choose First Choice for your Medicaid health plan. Visit our website or call today.
Thanks for staying with us. In late October, 3.5 million South Carolinians and more than 600,000 South Carolina businesses learned that their personal tax information had been compromised. We'd been hacked. The Department of Revenue informed all the citizens here in South Carolina that they needed to protect their credit identity. But thankfully, there is something available that AARP of South Carolina worked on with our General Assembly about several years ago that may be able to help. And here today is Jim Love, the Director of Grassroots Advocacy for AARP South Carolina. And Jim is here to give us some information that hopefully will help us as we protect those compromised files on our tax records that were compromised at DOR. Jim, tell us first of all, I know you don't work for DOR, but I know that AARP has been very much so trying to help. Tell us what's going on to the best of your knowledge.
Well, obviously you stated what was done in the hacking, and the Department of Revenue did set up a Protect My ID website where you can get a 1-year monitoring service for free. But AARP has been working in this field for a number of years, particularly because senior citizens are often vulnerable to investment fraud and ID theft. And back in 2006, we started working to get the General Assembly to push or to pass a law called the South Carolina ID Protection Act, which finally passed in 2008 and was signed into law. And the unique thing about this law is that it allows South Carolinians to get place a free credit freeze on their credit reports versus many states that have to pay $10 per credit rating agency for each time they lift the freeze and each time they put it back on. So in the worst of circumstances, they could pay $90 to place the freeze, lift it, and then replace it.
Interesting. Now, tell our viewers a little bit, and me too, about the freeze. What is a freeze and how does that work?
The freeze can only be done by the individual who has a credit report, who has a credit history. Of course, this would not apply to children. This would only apply to adults, typically 18 or older, who have a credit report. And you can go in and see if you have a credit report or not. What you do is you go to at least one of the credit reporting agencies, Experian, Equifax, or TransUnion, and ask to have a security freeze placed on your credit report. In some instances, that will cover all three of the agencies, but when I did it, I contacted all three and did it online and made sure all three had that. And then after you put a freeze on, you'll get a PIN, a P-I-N, personal identification number, that will allow you to lift the freeze if you decide to take out a credit card or a department store account or buy a car. And I've not had any trouble lifting the freeze when I've done it. Typically it takes 10 or 15 minutes, and you can lift it either by the vendor. Say you're buying a car, you could lift it for just that vendor, or you can lift it for a period of time.
Wow, so that if you are trying to get something using your credit history, then the entity that you're making application for can access that credit.
But no one else.
But no one else. Interesting. Now, that's a really good service, and we're able to have that in South Carolina free.
Free. Matter of fact, I think we were the first state to pass a law that allowed it to be free for all citizens in the state. So
when a person calls, say, Experian, and do they automatically know that they're a South Carolina resident and they're then eligible for the free option of freeze? Or
yes, either online as you enter your data or on the phone as you provide your data. They will obviously recognize that you're a South Carolina citizen and you should not be charged. If something like that were to happen, you should contact Consumer Affairs and they can take care of it and get you a refund.
Wonderful. Now, is there a limit to the number of times that you might be trying to get a mortgage or something, and you might be shopping to see what the best rate is? Is there a number of times that you can get it, and then after that you have to start paying for it, or is?
No, once you place the freeze, it's yours forever. You are the only one that can lift it. You can lift it permanently, or you can lift it for the instance, like you're saying, to have a mortgage company check out your credit report. So no, there's no limit to the number of times. Wow. I probably lifted my freeze 3 or 4 times. Interestingly, when I've done it, say to get a Lowe's card or something, I ask them which credit bureau they're using, and then I only have to lift it there. So you don't always have to lift it on
across
all 3.
The board.
Yeah, but regardless, it's free, and that's very rare. I think there are about 7 states now with it free, and the rest are paying at least $10 or more each time for each company.
Once you have the freeze, because this is where a lot of us South Carolinians are at now because of the compromise of our data, credit card information, bank accounts, social security numbers. Once you have that freeze placed on, can anyone access that credit? Any entity that you haven't authorized?
Well, the only entities that can access it are your current providers, like your mortgage company. They can continue to check. Anyone you already have a relationship with, a credit card, a mortgage, or an auto loan, they can still check your credit report because you already have an existing relationship with them. But otherwise, this is the surest way to prevent any activities or any fraud or identity theft on your accounts.
Well, this is really important information, especially now, given what's happened. Now, is there a particular? What's the best way to access the process? Because there are 3 major credit reporting agencies.
There are 3 major companies. And of course, each have a website, and I could provide that if you'd like. And they each have toll-free numbers as well. But for the listening audience, what they may want to do is let us provide the phone number to the AARP call center. And then they could have a piece of paper and a pen ready and call and say, I want to get information about the South Carolina security freeze. And then they would be able to get the phone numbers for each and the websites for each.
And you can do it online or by phone?
Either way.
Can you give that number out? We'll make a full screen of it for
the AARP number. Yes, this is our call center, and you can call toll-free at 866-389-5655. And they are prepared. Matter of fact, they have the same information I have here, not only on the security freezes, but also on the protectmyid.com/SEDOR that you're seeing in the newspapers and online. I would do that also because that's a free 1-year monitoring service, and it allows you immediate access to a credit report. And folks may not know, you see these free credit report ads on television. Well, the ones that say free credit report aren't free. You have to go to annualcreditreport.com to get free credit reports.
Well, Jim, thank you so much.
You're welcome. I enjoyed it.
You all do such great work over there at AARP, and this particular law, you never know, this law is so needed now for millions of South Carolinians.
And we're working with, matter of fact, we're meeting with the governor's office tomorrow to talk about how we can help individuals in nursing homes and assisted living facilities who may or may not have access to computers or familiarity. So we're going to try to develop a plan with the governor's office and others to make sure that happens.
Well, great work, and thank you for coming and sharing with our viewers.
You're welcome. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
Well, stay with us. We'll be right back.
Politicians are talking about Medicare and Social Security again. But while they discuss your future behind closed doors in Washington, AARP is bringing the conversation into the open.
A new national conversation about what the future of Medicare and Social Security should look like.
Because we believe you've earned straight answers about what's on the table and what it all means for your future. Get the facts about Medicare and Social Security and make your voice heard at earntosay.org.
Thanks for staying with us. Well, if you have young children, you probably can't imagine not being around to see them grow up. Well, here with us in studio today is Natalie Brown, and Natalie has been on a mission for the last couple of months to help a young family here, a local family, who's in need, and she's here today to share with us some of what she's been doing and why it's important for us to support what she's doing. But before we talk about the family, Natalie, it's just good to see you, girl.
It's awesome to see you too.
Tell us a little bit about what you've been doing lately.
And first of all, I just want to thank you so much for this opportunity. Wendy, I recently founded an organization called HERS, Healing, Empowerment, and Restoration of Souls. The mission of this organization is to help those individuals in our community who are severely disenfranchised, at a great disadvantage. Those individuals who are typically invisible to a lot of people, the people who you don't want to deal with, like the homeless, individuals who are formerly incarcerated, who come home from prison and they have no resources, battered women, and severely poor people. So that's what HERS is all about, helping those individuals, helping them pull the pieces of their lives back together, helping them get back into society and live productive lives.
That's a wonderful, wonderful initiative because it is so needed. I mean, sometimes a lot of people, we can't afford to have actual people falling through the cracks, so I commend you on what you're doing. I'm not a bit surprised, though. So tell us a little bit about the family that you've been working with.
It's a little difficult to talk about it today because Sheena Mobley recently passed. She did succumb to cancer, Hodgkin's lymphoma. Sheena was a 29-year-old mother of 6 children between the ages of 4 and 11. Sheena had been battling cancer for 5 years. About 5 years ago, during her pregnancy with her last child, she found out that she had cancer, and her battle began. Sheena Mobley can be anybody.
Right.
She really can. A lot of us are one paycheck away from disaster, one health catastrophe away from disaster, and if something like that, should happen, everything just falls apart.
I know you've started an initiative to help the children.
Yes.
I know Sheena has passed, and tell us about that initiative and tell us how we can help.
We've started the Sheena Mobley Fund, and basically what we're doing, we're of course collecting monetary donations through First Citizens Bank. You can go into any First Citizens Bank and make a donation. You can also mail in a donation. We're also collecting items for the family, for the children, clothes, toiletries, food. Even though they get food stamp, food's always needed.
We thank you, Natalie, so much for your passion and compassion and for what you're doing for this family.
Again, thank you for this opportunity to tell Sheena Mobley's story. Appreciate it.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
If you would like to read more on any of the segments featured on today's show, pick up the latest copy of Amara Woman magazine or read it online on Amara Woman e-magazine at amarawoman.com.
Well, the holiday season is upon us, and we know what that means. Lots and lots of food and packing on all those extra pounds, but we don't have to. So let's check in with Phyllis in the Amara kitchen. Hey, Phyllis, what's cooking for the holidays in the Amara kitchen?
Today, Wendy, we're talking about how to watch your calories and portions during the holiday season. Today I have for you a couple of items that we've pre-prepared, but I'm going to talk about what we did to cut down some of the calories on the foods that we're having. Macaroni and cheese is a traditional holiday food. And so what I've done to cut down some of the calories in the macaroni and cheese, I used a 2% sharp cheddar, 2% low-fat sharp cheddar, and I used a low-fat canned evaporated milk, and I used a touch of cayenne pepper to give it a little kick, and used only 1 egg instead of several eggs. And one of the things that I also did to give it a little more flavor, instead of using margarine, I used a whipped butter and used a lot less. And then also here I have some collard greens, which is another traditional holiday food. And instead of preparing them with fat back and other high fat foods that are high in cholesterol and saturated fat and add a whole lot of calories, what I did was I used a little olive oil, I used some hot pepper, and I put garlic in. You could put all kind of spices in there to kind of give your collards a different flavor while cutting down on the fat. And a cup of collards with a little olive oil only has less than 100 calories. And as you see, that's a pretty generous serving. And that's about 3 ounces of a turkey breast. And for this one, I just roasted it in the oven and put a little spice on it. And 3-ounce turkey breast only has, or 3 ounces of turkey breast only has about 150 calories, and it's very low in fat. So that's one thing that you can eat a little more of on your plate and save a few calories. One of the things that I've done, instead of the really high fat, high sugar, high butter, you put a lot of butter and margarine in our candied yams, I've baked a sweet potato here. And this is about the size of a baked sweet potato that would be a serving, and it is very generous. Even putting a little light butter or light margarine on there with a sprinkle of brown sugar and cinnamon really makes it good, and you can save some calories that way. Approximately about 100 calories in that size of a baked sweet potato. And now, talking about desserts. This is a reduced fat pound cake that I've made, and one of the things that I encourage you to do is pre-slice your dessert so that your family and friends will take a smaller serving for dessert and save themselves a few calories. And as you see, this is a pretty small serving of sweet potato pie, but once again, I'd recommend you pre-slice it so that your family and friends will take small servings, because they're probably going to take both the sweet potato pie and the pound cake for dessert. And typically during one holiday meal, people can consume with just a little bit of a little sample of everything. You can consume anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 calories in just one Thanksgiving or Christmas meal. So that's why it's very important to really focus on calories, encouraging people to eat smaller portions. I know it's not real popular, but you can serve water instead of sweet sodas and other beverages that have a lot of calories added to them. Thanks again. Happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and back to you, Wendy.
Well, that completes our show today. We hope that you enjoyed it and that you learned something that both inspires and empowers you. Remember, if you'd like to read more about any of the topics covered on today's show, pick up a copy of Amara Woman magazine. And you can also read it online on our e-magazine at amarawoman.com. Well, from our family to yours, we hope you have a wonderful holiday season. Until the next time, peace and blessings.